Okay, Mark, we've spoken about your first attempt. What about the second attempt? Preparation-wise, was it better preparation? What did you do differently? And you completed it under the 24 hours. Was it down to the preparation that got you through the second attempt?
If I had to be honest, I think I went into the second attempt a little bit physically fitter. I was probably a little bit more running, and certainly much more hill running, as I spoke about previously on my first attempt. I think that's really important. Yes, I was probably a little bit fitter going into the second attempt, and we done it in sort of a reversal. Where we did it on the first attempt was we started at Ben Nevis at 8 o'clock or 8:15 as the first climb.
What, Mark, would you have done differently on the second attempt, and what were there any areas where you were taken out of your comfort zone?
Absolutely. I mean, if I take you through the first climb of Ben Nevis, I started off on my own and got my own pace and and sort of met a guy probably a third of the way up, and then, because again this is a mountain I've not sort of summited before on my own, walked up the whole entire sort of rest of it with him and come off with a good time at the Ben.
What was that time, Mark?
4 hours 20 minutes, which was, if it had to be a single mountain, I feel I could do quite a bit quicker than that, but as the biggest mountain of the three peaks, I felt that was quite a credible time, and I didn't feel I'd really sort of pushed myself or burned out for sort of later on in the Peaks Challenge.
So where were you taken out of your comfort zone, and how were you taken out of your comfort zone?
Second mountain, we arrived at Scarfell Pike, prepared better this time in the fact that we had hot food sort of down off the first mountain.
What time was that? Roughly?
Arrived at Scarfell around about 8 o'clock at night. Now, as being one of the three members of the group, I knew I was probably the quickest maybe walker, and not the best at navigating compass and etc. So I got to Scarfell around about 8 o'clock and knew I had probably an hour and a half of like visible daylight, which previously I can sort of get to the top, I know, in about sort of an hour and 25 minutes. So I was sort of literally out the car and was away, and that's always been my game plan of the three peaks, to really push myself on the second mountain, because I feel if you've done a reasonable time on the first and you can push yourself on the second, it's a case of just a bit of motivation that will get you up the last mountain.
So what happened on Scarfell Pike?
What was the weather like?
The weather was horrendous.
To start with?
Initially a bit of rain, but as we sort of climbed, I would have been round about 2/3 of the way up, sort of rain and hail, and it was, to be honest with you, horrendous. And it didn't sort of give much more time on the light. If we had a good day, I'd have probably had sort of another quarter of an hour, 20 minutes of daylight. But I managed to summit the mountain in an hour and 25 minutes, which I was really happy with. There was some visibility, but it was rapidly going from the top. So I started my descent down and probably got a third of the way down, if not more. Again, walking on my own in horrendous weather conditions.
Mark, to anybody listening to this, would you say that the weather surprised you, and would you say that in your particular case, had you underestimated the weather? I mean, is nature a powerful force in this event?
Massively, yeah. I mean, a lot of people that you undertake this challenge, or you obviously go in a group now. One of the factors that we didn't do it, we split up from sort of very early on, and we're walking sort of single-handedly. Now, that has its pros and its cons if you walk at your own pace, but I must confess, having sort of come part of the way down Scarfell, it was then pitch black dark. Now, it's a very different ball game when you're on your own and not really a sort of seasonal mountaineer in walking in mountains in the pitch black dark and the weather being bad.
What would you have done differently then?
If I had to be honest, I would have walked with someone in the dark, and I had sort of head torches and torches.
Did you get lost at all, Mark?
Yes, and I was talking about that before. I come down literally a third or 2/3 of the way, probably about halfway down, and there's a sort of big path that comes down, and it's pretty much self-explanatory from then. I was sort of coming down, and again it was pitch black dark now, and somehow got totally disorientated and missed the path. Now, as you're walking down Scarfell, then we were in the pitch black dark now. There's a lake that's obviously the way to walk down at the foot of the mountain. You could sort of see the shimmer off the lake, and that was my only real guide as to where I was walking. And I'd missed the main sort of route of the path down, was going down a grass verge, and this was the bit of the Three Peaks Challenge which I absolutely hated, and I as I was walking down, and it was sort of a grass verge, and at no point in time did I know whether it was going to just piffer out and just literally go straight down and I was going to fall down, or I would eventually come to the path. And it's very, very difficult sort of scenario to comprehend, really. You're on your own, you've got to get off the mountain, that you can't sort of ask for any help being on your own, and I found it quite difficult at that point.
When did you arrive at Snowdon, and how did you feel? Given you've just done 2 mountains, you haven't had any sleep, I presume. How were you feeling, and how was the weather? And you'd had the scare on Scarfell Pike.
I wasn't feeling too bad, to be honest. Weather was quite bad. I didn't get hardly any sleep at all, to be honest, in travelling from Scarfell to Snowdon.
Why was that?
Just found it difficult to sleep. Really, the weather was quite horrendous in the drive as well, in the fact that it was raining, and we'd made pretty good headway, and the driver and our crew had done really well and made a good time. But we turned up, as they got to Snowdon round about sort of 3:15,